Shashi, is Deepak around still, or we're starting with a new session?
Just a minute. Let's say, I think it's joining.
Deepak.
Sir, please mute everybody. Mute everybody.
Hello.
Yeah.
सर सॉरी काहीतरी प्रॉब्लेम झाला जरा.
No issues. Nirmal sir.
गणेश सर आहेत का?
Nirmal sir.
नवीन
Deepak is back. Others, please mute your microphone.
सर
एकच मिनिट आहेत ते. निर्मल सर.
मला त्याच्याशिवाय माझा काही प्रश्न नव्हता.
हा सर तुमचा प्रश्न मला आला लक्षात. माझा प्रॉब्लेम थोडा नेटचा झाला. दुसरा कोणीतरी आवाज येतोय मध्ये.
एकच मिनिट.
म्हणायचं आय हॅड नो अदर क्वेश्चन. इट वॉज जस्ट टू मेक द पॉइंट की यातून जे दीपकने आपल्याला सगळे इतके पॉइंट सांगितले. So one of the points which I thought important that everyone should take about and think about little bit is this thing about having wills in place for parents, so that a lot of this hassle and डोकेदुखी वर ही जी completely avoidable आहे ते आपण अवॉइड करू शकतो. तितकंच मला म्हणायचं.
मी त्याच्या पुढे जाऊन सांगेन. हा सर, आय नो सम इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट आमच्या साताऱ्यातले पुण्यातले. They are into their 40s and they have made their wills after every 10 years. They just go on changing their wills. ते म्हणतात उद्या परत प्रॉब्लेम नको घरामध्ये. कारण का प्रेम महत्वाचं आहे, फॅमिली महत्वाची आहे. परत 10 years डाऊन द लाईन नंतर आपल्याला कळतं की आपण किती मोठी चूक केली.
राईट.
एक प्रश्न
आहे. व्हेरी गुड पॉइंट.
दीपक मला एक प्रश्न होता. बरेच जण फ्लॅट घेतात, बरेच जण म्हणजे मॅक्झिमम आपण टिपिकली म्हणजे सर्विंग जे आहोत जॉब करणारे वगैरे ते फक्त एकदा अग्रीमेंट झालं, लोन मिळालं की काही करायची गरज नाही, आपलं सगळं व्यवस्थित आहे असं त्यांचा समज असतो किंवा गैरसमज असतो. तर बेअर मिनिमम कुठले डॉक्युमेंट्स बिल्डर एक्झिक्यूट केले पाहिजे देन इट इज सेफ?
सेल्डीड तुम्ही सेल्डीड घेतला पाहिजे. तर रेरामुळं ते त्या बिल्डरची जबाबदारी झालेली आहे. पण जुन्या बिल्डिंग मध्ये बरेच बिल्डर किंवा जे 8 फ्लॅटच्या आतले आहेत, 5 गुंठ्याच्या आतले करत नाही, तिथं तुम्ही फॉलोअप केला गेला पाहिजे. किंवा तुम्ही त्या तुमचा एक लॉयर मध्ये ठेवला पाहिजे, तुमचा स्वतःचा पण एक, की बाबा ह्या गोष्टी तू आम्हाला बोलला होता, ह्या करून द्यायच्यात तुला, नाहीतर आम्ही तुझे 5% 10% मागे ठेवणार आहोत.
ओके. नाही, अजून सुद्धा प्रॉपर्टी घेताना काय होतं बऱ्याच वेळा की फक्त अग्रीमेंट झाली, बँकेने लोन दिले म्हणजे सगळं प्रॉपर्टी सेफ आहे, तरी काही म्हणून लोन मिळू शकतं वगैरे असा समज, गैरसमज.
प्रॉब्लेम काय येतो, हो तो तर फार मोठा गैरसमज होता लोकांचा. आणि आपण बघतोय की जेव्हा परत माणूस रिसेलला जातो त्या फ्लॅटच्या, पुण्यात इव्हन मुंबईमध्ये सोसायटीची लोक बरेच पैसे घेतात, 5-5 लाखापर्यंत ते घेतात की तुमचं ट्रान्सफर करताना. तर ह्या गोष्टी सगळ्या टाळायच्या असतील तर तुमचे हे सगळं नीट, किंवा तुमचं बिल्डर पण घेतात काही ठिकाणी. सोसायटी फॉर्मेशन झाली नसेल तर बिल्डर पण 2-2, 3-3 लाख रुपये घेतो ट्रान्सफर करायला.
एक छोटा प्रश्न एक, सॉरी, आणि प्रत्येक वेळेला मी विकत असताना एनओसी का पण लागतं? म्हणजे माझा फ्लॅट सगळा क्लिअर आहे वगैरे, तरी सोसायटीची एनओसी प्रत्येक वेळेला, एनओसी मुळे पण बऱ्याचशा पैशाचा व्यवहार करावा लागतो.
आहे ना ते काय होतं कधी कधी जेव्हा तुमची सोसायटी ते ट्रान्सफर करण्याची तेव्हा तो नवीन मेंबर घेताना त्यांना काही खर्च आहे त्यासाठी ते घेतात. कधी कधी बऱ्याचदा वेळा असं पण असतं की काही सोसायटी बस हे पैसे भरत नसतात वेळेत आणि जेव्हा त्याला एनओसी देताना तो लाईनवर येतो असंही होतं. म्हणजे ते दुधारी तलवार दोन्हीकडनं पण युज होती. पण त्याचा फायदा पण होतो. म्हणजे जर का तुमच्या सोसायटीमध्ये दुसरा कोणी असेल तो पैसे न भरणारा तो ट्रान्सफर करताना त्याला तुम्ही सांगू शकता बाबा तुझा आम्ही ट्रान्सफर देत नाही, पहिले जे तुझे पैसे आहेत ते भर इकडे.
ठीक आहे. थँक्यू दीपक. थँक्यू फॉर युअर
हॅलो हॅलो हॅलो
हा कोण बोलतोय?
I have one question.
हो सर आहे की आहे.
हा मी कमल किशोर उके बोलतोय. मला एक क्वेश्चन होता. हॅलो
हा
बोला ना, बोला.
बोला की सर.
हॅलो
बोला.
ऍक्च्युली मी पुण्यामध्ये ऍग्रिकल्चर लँड नगर रोडला, तर त्यावेळेस ऍग्रिकल्चर लँड कमीत कमी 11 गुंठे वगैरे घ्यायला पाहिजे काहीतरी आहे का? आणि जेव्हा त्यांनी आम्हाला रजिस्टर केलं पण एकत्र त्यांनी रजिस्ट्रेशन याच्या बाऱ्यावर वगैरे नाव आहे, त्या पूर्ण नकाशावर आहे, प्लस पूर्ण डॉक्युमेंट वर चालून आपल्याला प्रॉब्लेम येईल का याच्यामुळे?
नाही, तुकडाबंदी तुकडा जोड कायदा जो आहे त्याच्यानुसार जर का तुमचा एक गट नंबर असेल त्यात तुम्ही त्याचे पण वेगवेगळे क्लॉजेस आहेत. जर का बागायत जमीन असेल तर 11 गुंठेच्या आत, जिरायत असेल तर 2 एकराच्या आत, ते तुम्हाला तुकडाबंदी तुकडा जोड कायद्यामुळे करता येत नाही.
ओके.
जसं नावानी सर्व
तर तुमचा आवाज येत नाहीये.
लक्षात आलं तुमचं तुमचं केलेला बाकीचे तुमचे विकू शकत नाहीत तर त्यांना विकायचं असं होतं बऱ्याचदा.
अच्छा,
तर ते
इंडिव्हिज्युअल आपल्याला त्यांच्याकडून हे घ्यावं लागेल अंडरटेकिंग.
म्हणजे आता तर होतच नाही, आता तर खरेदीगत पण होत नाहीत. जेव्हापासून त्यांनी आता ऑनलाईन केले ना त्यापासून आता खरेदीगत पण होणार नाही तशी.
हो का? पण आताच माझं 2 वर्ष आधी आणि ऑनलाईनच झालंय.
नाही ऑनलाईन आहे ना, म्हणजे ऑनलाईन सातबारे ऑनलाईन तुमचं म्युटेशन जेव्हापासून चालू झाले तर एकदम स्ट्रिक्ट झाले आणि म्हणजे बऱ्यापैकी पुणे जिल्ह्यात हे इलिगल गोष्टी बऱ्याच चालतात आणि बाकीच्या जिल्ह्यात कारण का सब रजिस्टर मॅनेज तो करून देतो. पण शक्यतो तुमचे जे प्लॉट्स आहेत ते तुकडाबंदी तुकडाजोड कायद्याचे खाली येतात का हे, म्हणजे त्यामुळे तुमच्या वकिलाला विचारलं पाहिजे की होऊ शकतं का आणि मगच घे.
Question.
Hello, sir.
आपण
Deepak, I have one question.
बोला ना सर.
हॅलो, हा शेवटचा प्रश्न असेल. आपण नंतर ऑफलाईन घेऊयात. हा शेवटचा प्रश्न असू द्या कारण बाकी सेकंड स्पीकर आहेत. तर हा बोला, कोणाचा प्रश्न आहे?
हा दीपक, मी विंग कमांडर देसाई आहे, रिटायर्ड.
हा सर.
मी प्लॉट वर वगैरे सगळे त्याही पेपर क्लिअर होते, 7/12 मिळाला. पण त्यानंतर मी टॅक्स भरले
गुंठेवारी होता का एनए करून घेतला होता?
एनए प्लॉट मी घेतलेला आहे पण तो मी त्याच्यानंतर कुठेच तलाट्याकडे गेलो नाही किंवा कुठेच गेलो नाही. जर तो ज्याच्याकडून जो प्लॉट घेतलेला आहे तो शकतो
नाही, तो विकू शकत नाही. तुमचं 7/12वर तुमचं नाव आलं असेल तर तो विकू शकत नाही.
हा 7/12वर म्हणजे मला मिळालेलं नाही पण त्यांनी सांगितलं होतं की 7/12वर तुमचं नाव
तुम्ही जाऊन चेक केले तलाठी
आणि प्लॉटवर
ऑफिसमध्ये तुम्ही चेक केले जाऊन?
नाही, त्यानंतर मी गेलो नाही कारण मी इथं नव्हतो पुण्यामध्ये, आता आलेलो आहे.
ठीक आहे. मग मला लक्षात आलं तुमचं काय केलं असणार त्यांनी तुमचं खरेदीगत केलं, त्याच्यानंतर मे बी 4-5 वर्षानंतर दुसरा पण तोच प्लॉट विकला असेल आणि त्याचं नाव 7/12ला लागलंय का आता?
नाही तसं विकू तो का ते विचारायचं होतं मला.
झालेले आहेत तसे व्यवहार झालेले आहेत, पुण्यात झालेले आहेत,
पुण्यात
बाणेरला
भरपूर झालेले
बऱ्याच
आहेत सर.
ठिकाणी
कसं
झालेले
आहे
आहेत पुण्यात.
आता, आणि हे डिफेन्स
हा.
पर्सनल बरोबरच बरेचसे झालेले आहेत.
हो
बरोबर.
काय
आणि
होतं पुण्यात जे पुण्यात
मी
व्यवहार
त्याचा
करताना
टॅक्स
बरेच
अजूनपर्यंत
बाहेरचे लोक.
भरलेलाच नाही.
तेच ना. नाही तुम्ही जर का टॅक्स नुसता भरणार असेल तर तुम्ही जाऊन टॅक्स तो म्हणजे आपलं जर तुमच्या नावावर असेल 7 तुम्ही भरू शकाल. परंतु जर का तुमचं पहिलं खरेदी खत असेल आणि त्यांनी दुसरं त्यांचं म्हणजे अजून कोणाला तरी विकला असेल तर ती केस त्याच्यावर होऊ शकते. बोथ सिव्हिल आणि क्रिमिनल दोन्ही पण केसेस त्याच्यावर करता येतात.
बर, मी त्याचा टॅक्स भरलेला नाही. त्याच्यावर मी आता एक नवीन प्लॉट घेतला बेळगावमध्ये. ज्याच्यातून घेतला त्याने सांगितलं की प्लॉट असतात त्याच्यात टॅक्स भरावा लागत नाही. ही खरी गोष्ट आहे का टॅक्स भरावा लागतो?
नाही आता कसं आहे, एनए टॅक्स जो आहे तो एकदम नॉमिनल असतात. ते जर का म्हणजे माणसांचं काय होतं, प्लॉट आणि जो आपण म्युन्सिपल टॅक्स भरतो याची गल्लत होते. ते टॅक्सेस फार मीगर असतात. म्हणजे इट इज जस्ट कपल ऑफ ₹100.
पण टॅक्स भरावा लागतो ना ओपन.
टॅक्स म्हणजे तुम्हाला हे आपलं भरावंच लागतं. वर्षाच्या वर्षी जाऊन त्याचं काही हे असलं शेतसार किंवा तुमचे ते प्लॉटचं टॅक्सेस ते भरावेच लागतात. पण ते कमी असतात फार. तुम्ही जर का प्लॉट तसाच ठेवला असेल ना अनडेव्हलप तर खर्च कमी असतो.
Wagholi has got just flats and shops available between 30 to 60 lakhs. They are in well placed location. Abhi kya hai, latest they are planning to develop into a municipal corporation of Hadapsar, Wagholi, and maybe another 2-3 villages.
So can we
maybe within 6.
Excuse me, sir. Can we have all these discussions offline? Because like I'll share Deepak's number. Okay, so that because like we have another speaker queued up.
Done, sir. Done.
Right?
Sir.
Okay. Thank you, Deepak. Thanks a lot, Deepak.
Thanks a lot again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Gajanan Rashinkar of 1993 batch to deliver his session. Gajanan, take over the chat.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to share the screen so that my presentation would be more informative.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so Shashi, I want to share the screen.
Click on the share screen.
Okay. Yes. So
yeah,
I hope all of you can see the screen.
Yeah.
Yes, this way.
Okay, so thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to speak on this particular if you want to become a teacher, that is assessors in the colleges or universities, there is a eligibility that you must either complete your PhD or you must qualify, say SIR NET or SLATE or SET examinations. Doing PhD is a very tough job. It takes a lot of time. So qualifying NET, SLATE or SET exam is very easy. And therefore you will see that a lot of young aspirants who wish to become teachers are really appearing for these exams. And the results of these exams is very less. And that is why these exams are considered usually to, I have qualified NET exam for 10 times and SET exam for 10 times, just to show the students that this exam is very easy. And I'm going to share my experience that I had during last 20 years. I delivered more than 1,500 lectures at all over the places. And whatever I'm going to explain through these slides, I'm sure that many of you may not be interested because you have already pursued your careers in various fields. But this may be useful for your children if they are going to prepare for competitive exams. I'm sure that this presentation would be very important to them. Now, when you come to the CSIR NET exam, there are two types of CSIR NET exams or NET exams. One is conducted by CSIR. It is typically for science subjects, chemical science, life sciences, physics, maths, and geography. While UGC NET is another exam which is conducted for commerce and arts students. If you qualify NET exam, you can become professor college or university throughout the country. For SET exams, there is a SET exam or SLATE exam. These are conducted by states. If you qualify this exam, you can be in the particular state through which you have qualified that particular exam. Now, when you talk about the pattern of these examinations, usually UGC NET, which is there for arts and commerce students, or SLATE exam or SET exam. Usually these consist of two papers. Paper 1 is basically of general knowledge. It is of 100 marks with 50 MCQs. And the second paper is for subject. It consists of 100 MCQs on the subjects with 2 marks each. So this is for 200 marks. There's no negative marking for these exams. But when you see CSIR NET exams, you will see that the exam consists of only one paper. And it consists of 3 parts, part A, part B, part C. On part A, part B, part 3, depending upon the subjects, there are different number of questions with the different marks, and there's a negative system. So this particular slide shows the pattern of NET exam for different subjects. Now, for both exams, if you see UGC NET exam or CSIR NET exam, we have a different merit systems. For SET exam, SLATE exam, and UGC NET exam, you have to score at least 40% marks in paper 1 if you belong to general category, and at least 40% marks in again paper 2. Now, when you get these many marks, now again you can see for different categories, there's different markings. Marks, SET or NET exam called as cutoff. So if a student wishes to pass these exams, he should get at least 40% marks in paper 1, 40% marks in paper 2, and he should come in top 6%. The last student here, whatever marks he gets, these marks are basically called as cutoff marks. And any student who wish to qualify these exams has to aim for this particular marks. Now, cutoff different subjects, because cutoff is a marks which are required to qualify these exams. Cutoff, this slide shows a cutoff of economics of different categories. Usually, student has to see the cutoff, and then he has to aim for these many marks in the exam. For NET exam, CSIR NET exam, there is a no section-wise passing. As I said, CSIR NET examination basically consists of only one paper with the 3 sections. There is a no section-wise passing. Student has to aggregate score at least 60% marks aggregate in all the 3 sections together to qualify CSIR NET exam. This is in bit the pattern of NET exams. Now, I would like to share my views about these exams. I have seen that many students say that NET SET exams are very difficult. And I have seen the students who say that these exams are very difficult are basically studying very randomly. I have seen huge number of students who are appearing for these exams. They are studying a lot for these exams. Unfortunately, they are not able to qualify. And it is very surprising that, you know, a master of chemistry student comes and he says that NET in the chemistry is very difficult. So the master starts saying like this, I am sure that there is something wrong in the preparation. So usually when it starts with the CSIR NET examination, the first thing which I have noticed is that students do not have a specific target. They study randomly, they go to the exam, and whatever they can, you know, solve, they solve that much and they come out. So it is like a cricket match between India and Australia. Australia done 300 and Indians go for cricket playing and they don't know what is the target. So just go on playing. And so in these cases, there will be no chances to win. So I always insist to students that you should you should seek a target specifically. Usually 60% marks is a very good target. I have seen that if you score 60% marks in both the papers, it becomes very easy. Now, if you want to score 60% marks, there are 2 papers. One is the paper number 1, which is related to the general knowledge. Paper number 2, which is of subject. Now, the very interesting thing, if you see these exams, is that paper 1 is on general knowledge. Students usually do not pay attention in paper number 1, but they focus on the subject paper. So usually the strategy for the students is scoring passing marks in paper 1, scoring very high marks in paper 2. Unfortunately, the toughness of the paper is that paper 1 is very easy, while paper 2 is very, very tough. So I started telling the students that, look, you change your strategy. Try to score maximum marks in paper number 1 and score passing marks in paper number 2. So when I told the students this particular strategy, so large number of students started passing this exam. Now, usually I could pass so many students in NET and SET exam. The number 1 is that what I did, because being an Ajinkan that we have learned from our school days, positive attitude. So I inculcated this positive attitude in the students. Whenever any student, if you see any student qualifying, appearing for NET exam, studying for NET exam, you will always find that he will be saying that NET is difficult. So first thing I did was I took this attitude from their mindset. I told them that, look, passing NET set is very easy. I have qualified both the exams 20 times and it is very easy to pass these exams. So only thing is we have to have a positive mindset. So students started putting a positive mindset. The second is the dedication. I have seen that so many students want to pass NET exam, but unfortunately there is no dedication from their side. So I told the students to, like you say that air, food and water is your most important priorities. In a similar way, I told them to keep NET and SET as the fourth priority. So unless you don't keep that as a priority, it is very difficult for you to qualify NET. So students started doing this. Now, whenever they used to get the time, they started preparing. So the dedication was the second thing, which I told the students that it is very important. And then students took all these things very seriously. Now, I will tell you how basically one can very easily qualify a CSIR NET examination. I'm sure that many of you, if you are still interested, because there is no age bar for the teachers, you can become a teacher even at the age of 58, 59. And if you have completed your master's, still you can appear for NET and SET exam and you can come into this noble profession. Let me start with how the students prepare. Students usually prepare very randomly. What students do is, whenever students prepare for competitive exams, they prepare randomly. Whatever book they get, they start reading that. So there's no line and length in a cricket language for your preparation. So I told the students, look, you have to prepare very properly. I will tell how we started basically. The first thing I told the students is to collect the question papers. At least you should have 3 to 5 years old question papers. And I'm sure that if you want to pass any competitive exams, you have to start with the question papers. If you have 3 to 5 years of question papers, you can really become, you can pass that exam very easily. Now, I told the students to collect the question papers, at least 3 to 5 years. Many times students used to ask me, sir, how much time is required to pass NET? I told them that, look, more the number of question papers you have, less of the time you are going to require. So usually I suggest 3 to 5 years of old question papers for the students. What we did was, number one, when we saw the syllabus of NET, what you see is, when you see the syllabus of NET exam, it is very, very vast. In a subject like life sciences, there are so many topics, and if you start preparing them thoroughly, it may take 8 to 10 years. That is what I personally feel. So the first task in front of the students was that the syllabus was very heavy. What we started doing was, we thought of choosing few particular topics for the preparation, because we know that it will be very difficult to study all the topics and then prepare for the exam. So what I did was, we started quantitative analysis of question papers. What is the quantitative analysis of question papers? You can see that this is one of the old question papers, and these are the number of questions asked in the. What I did was, I sorted these questions topic wise. So this is question number 1, and this is on to unit number 2 in the commerce subject. So I wrote unit number 2 here. The second question belonged to unit number 9. Third question belonged to unit number 5. In similar way, what we did was, we analyzed all the questions in the paper, and we sort in which particular topics they belong to. Once this was analyzed, what we did was, we made a table like this. In this particular table, what we did was, we wrote the units in one column and number of questions asked on those particular units in the exams. Now, this helped us a lot. Let me start with the story of a commerce student who came to me. This commerce student was preparing for from last 6 years. He failed in 12 SET exams and 12 NET exams. When he came to me, I asked him why he was not able to pass for last 6 years. He said, sir, I am studying very hard, but I am unfortunately not able to pass. So I told him that, have you done a quantitative analysis of question papers? He did not know what is the quantitative analysis. So I explained this particular thing, and he never did that. So the next day, this particular student came with the analysis of question papers, and this was his analysis. You can see that the analysis of this question paper was, he had 10 units, and this was the number of questions asked on the particular unit. When you see this analysis, you will find that there's a consistency of the questions. Unit number 1, usually 1 question is asked. Unit number 2, 3 questions were continuously asked. So we found that there's a particular pattern in these question papers. The number of questions on every unit for last 5 years, 10 years is almost same. If it differed, it differed very marginally. Now, this student came with this analysis. Now, when I asked the student, how many topics you have selected, I was surprised to know that the student said that he has prepared for 60% topics, and these were the topics which this student has selected, unit number 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Now, when you see these 6 topics, you will find that there are hardly questions on this particular number of topics which he has chosen, and the topics which he didn't selected, majority of the questions were on those particular topics. So this happened in most of the students who came to me. Now, when I asked the student why you did like this, why you have chosen these topics, he said that these topics were my Master of Commerce specialization. This topic I liked from my childhood. I got the notes of this particular topic, so I chosen unit number 8, and unit number 9, it is a contemporary topic, so I decided to choose this particular topic. Now, this is what happens when most of basically for NET exam. What they do is they choose what they like. They choose what is their specialization. Now, what experience we got from this was that, see, if you want to prepare for NET exam, don't choose what you like, choose what exam demands. And we got a very surprising results. In 85% of the students, the selection was wrong, and that is why they were not able to pass from last several years. And when I told the students, they took with the topics which were necessary, and they started preparing for this particular topic. So number one is go for such analysis. Now this analysis will not only help you for NET and SET, this analysis will also help you for MPSC, UPSC. Many of my students have qualified MPSC and UPSC by doing this particular thing. Now, this was very helpful for us. This helped us in our school language to build a plan, right? So this is our NET target, and these are the number of topics, and we are going to choose these topics to prepare for NET exam. So that was quantitative analysis. Now, when I started doing this, large number of students started qualifying. The second thing which I did was, again, because students were not able to, so what we did is we came with a second very important thing is called as micro quantitative analysis. What we did was, this is a particular one chapter of physics, condensed matter physics. Previously, what we used to do is we used to see how many questions are asked on this particular topic. Now, what we did was we distributed this syllabus into subsets. So this particular topic had these many points. So we classified them, these points as A, B, C, D, E. And then what we did was we did micro quantitative analysis. For example, this is question number 1. Previously, as I showed you, this belonged to unit number 2. But when we did the micro analysis, we found that in unit number 2, this is particularly belonging to the subset B, that is this particular part of the syllabus, B part of the syllabus. In a similar way, the second question, which is on unit number 9, it belonged to D particular point in that particular syllabus. And after doing this, what we did was, for example, you can see that this is analysis we got. Now, on this particular topic, in 2016 exam, 3 questions were asked on condensed matter physics. The analysis showed that the 2 questions are on A part, A sub part of the syllabus, and 1 question is on B part, B sub part of the syllabus. So this is the analysis that we did. Now, why we did this? We found that there are 2 important points on which questions are asked, that is A and B. While point C, this is particular point. Point E, the questions are not asked to the greater levels. So what we decided was to identify the most important points from every chapter. So when we did this for so many subjects, we found a very interesting thing. We found that the NET exams are concentrated on only few of the points. In some of the papers, we got 50 particular points, 50 sub-points like this. And in some of the subjects, they were up to 118 sub-points. So we decided that let us start preparing these important points first. And then whatever remaining points are there, if we are not able to finish these important points, then only we will see at them. First priority we will give to these particular points. What we got was hero points. I said that these are the hero points, and this is the best example which I give to my students, that you go in a market and see, if you go in a market and if you want to buy soaps, you don't buy all the soaps. So you will buy only few soaps. If you want to buy perfume, you will buy 1 or 2 perfumes. In a similar way, when you go to when you prepare for NET exams, unit number 1, you just select only few points which are very important. Unit number 2, you just select few points which are very important. Now, there was a risk in this, but if we select important points, the student can give more time. And as I said, the syllabus of NET exam is very vast. It becomes very, very difficult. So when we started doing this, students got 50 points, 60 points, 80 points, that depended upon the subject. And now the students started preparing for those particular points. And I found that The result of this was very excellent. Students started securing very high ranks in the NET exam. So initially, where the students started preparing randomly, now when I said that do this micro quantitative analysis, students were very happy. They got few points. They needed less time, and it was right hitting to the bird's eye. But obviously there was a risk. But then share market people say that more risk, more reward, and that formula basically worked. So that is how we basically started doing this. Now, after doing this, now student got the points. For example, I am from chemistry, so I realized that thermodynamics. I realized that look, this particular reagent is very important. But unfortunately, we didn't know what type of preparation was to be done. So we came with a third very, very important point, and that is called as qualitative analysis of the question papers. Now, what we did was, for a student of history, he wants to prepare on Chhatrapati Shivaji. So what we did was, we took all the old question papers, and on one particular paper, we wrote all the questions asked on Chhatrapati Shivaji in last exams. Now, look at this imaginary example which I have put in. So what were the question asked on the Chhatrapati Shivaji's era? In one of the exams, it was asked, describe the gold ornaments used in Chhatrapati Shivaji's era. In the next exam, it was asked, like, explain on the silver ornaments. In the other exam, it was on copper ornaments. In one exam, it was a diamond ornaments. So when we saw the questions asked in that particular point, now this gave, so that if I don't see question paper, and if I start preparing on Chhatrapati Shivaji's era, Chhatrapati Shivaji, I would obviously start reading what forts he built, what was his armory, and everything. But if you see these questions asked in the old exams, they were totally different from what I was going to study. So we started doing all these things. For every point, we wrote what are the important questions asked on those particular point, and then we came with a very shocking result. The questions that were asked on every point were beyond our imagination. What is beyond our imagination? Our imagination, because usually our exam system is such that it is a theoretical exam. So every time we are aware with we are used to write questions like explain, elaborate, and I'm sure that all of us know what we did in our school days. Whenever a question was asked like explain, elaborate, we used to write so many things. And while doing like this, since we had a theoretical mode of exams, the students were not specific. So the basic point in the NET exam was the questions were not theoretical, questions were problem oriented, questions were very specific, and they were on numericals, which students never thought of. Now, when they started analyzing the questions like this, they realized that we have to switch on the mode of our study, not a theoretical, but an application based, but a practical based, but a problem oriented. And now students started preparing them. I was surprised that when many of the students did like this, they came with a shocking result that 20 to 30% of the questions are predictable. The students who were not able to guess anything in the exam, they came with 20 to 30% of the questions which were predictable. And many of the students used to say that, sir, the blueprint of the NET exam is very easy to predict. Everything is pre-decided. Only thing is that we have to see the questions asked on particular topic. So I always tell the students that, look, if you study carefully, the questions asked on the particular points, these questions become your guide. They show you the direction, not only direction of preparation, also they show you the depth of preparation. So we started doing this, and I got very fantastic results. Many of my students stopped NET exam after doing this, and the amount of time that was required to study also was reduced. And not only that, but the accuracy was also very good. So this is how we started. Now everything was clear. The road was clear. First, when we were not doing all these things, we had a wrong way. Now we got a perfect way. So everything was now very much clear to us. Which are the topics which we are going to study? Which are the points from that particular topic where we are going to give more emphasis? What are the questions asked on those particular points? And what should be our mode of preparation? Now we started with the preparation. Now while going for the preparation, what I did was, whatever time was available, because if students ask how much time is required, now that depends upon how much time you put in for the preparation, but 6 months is a pretty good time for preparation. I told the students to divide the time, 70% for the preparation and 30% for the MCQ solving, multiple choice question solving. And in this 70% time for the preparation, I told the students that what you do is don't rely only on some publication books are available. For example, Upkar publication, Vidya Bharati, these are very famous books, booksellers which are have very small books on CSIR NET exam, and most of the students of our country completely rely on them. I told them that look, don't only rely on those books. Those books are good, but they cannot help you to pass NET. So I told them to use some notes from various academies such as Brilliant Tutorials, and there are so many academies. And apart from that, the very, very important part is at least to use 2 good reference books. And for them, which are the good reference books that needs to be used, I told them to meet some of the students who have recently qualified and make them mentors for your NET exam. Now, my students started using all these 3 resources. So whenever I used to see my students, they used to sit in number of books, Upkar publication book and academy notes and reference books. And what they started doing was they used to go point by point. It was not a random preparation. So first point, they used to read. Second point, they used to read. So it was a systematic preparation. It was not a random preparation. So students started preparing that. And this is how we prepared. All the 3 books were in front of us. We used to read one particular point from all the 3 resources, and we used to take out a summary of those particular points. And that is how the preparation started. Once we were thorough with the knowledge of all the points, then started our multiple choice solving sessions. I always told the student that you should solve more number of MCQs, right? If I want to become a pilot, I cannot start riding a bullock cart and then start flying the plane. So I told them that look, if the exam is MCQ, you have to also practice MCQ and not only read and read. So I told them that at least 3,000 MCQs, that quantum is sufficient to give that reasoning ability. So I told them, the students, to at least solve 3,000 MCQs after their thorough preparation was over. Students started that. Now, when the students used to solve MCQs, the first thing, how they used to do, for example, this is the question, which is capital of India, and the options are this. So now the student knows the answer is Delhi. So then if the answer is correct, they used to look at back. So Delhi is correct. The next question, which is the longest river in Pakistan, Brahmaputra, Chenab, Jhelab, Indus. He doesn't know. So he used to look at the back. What is the answer? So that was a mode of preparation. So I told that, look, this is not a correct way of preparation. If the question is asked, which is the capital of India, now it doesn't give only an answer, but it also gives you a particular point of preparation. So today the question is asked that which is capital of India. Tomorrow they may ask you a capital of any of the countries of the world. They may not ask you the smaller countries which are not very famous, but they may ask you the countries which are very famous. So I told them that look, every question in the exam will give you a small sub point of preparation. So when you solve 3,000 MCQs, at least 1,000 MCQs you should solve in this particular way. Now students started solving MCQs. Now what happened was they could reason out, because reasoning ability was raised to very high levels. And after solving 3,000 MCQs, whenever they went to the NET exam, they really found that NET exam was very, very easy, and they could solve unknown questions with that particular experience which they basically had. So that's how I gave all these simple tricks to students. I wrote several blogs. I received several awards. Every Dog Has His Day was a very famous blog. Being Thangamagan, I received call from the great actor for writing these blogs. Also, I do have my own website. So if you know somebody who is preparing for NET, tell her to go to this particular website. And several of my news have been flashed in the different articles, in the different papers. So that is how I always suggest the students to use these particular tricks for the preparation. I'm very happy to tell you that I had been to so many places across the country, and I told the students this particular method, and many of them have taken advantage of this particular method. This can be used for any of the competitive exams. So thank you so much, Shashi, for giving me this great opportunity. I feel that this is a really proud privilege.
Doctor, let's say we may get disconnected, and let's say we need to rejoin to take their questions. Okay, because we have left a few seconds. Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine.